Hi, my name is Sharmin Anwer. I'm a staff attorney with COB Legal Aid, and I run the COB Lawyer in the Law Library program here in the COB Superior Court. And today I will be giving a presentation on the basics of the name change process. A little background about COB Legal Aid. We are a nonprofit law firm that provides free legal services, and we provide assistance to low-income people for many basic civil legal matters. And we prioritize issues of shelter and safety. Again, income eligibility is linked to the federal poverty rate, so applicants must live in Cobb or have a Cobb County case. You should call COB Legal Aid if you are being evicted, if your landlord refuses to make repairs, if you're experiencing some kind of domestic violence, if your public benefits were terminated, or if you have other family law issues. Intake and screening, you can create an application online, or you can call us by phone 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and you can complete an application over the phone. Just a reminder, this is a general presentation on general law. If you need more specific advice about your specific situation, you should speak to an attorney. Again, I am in the law library Monday through Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you are seeking a one-on-one consultation, you could come to the law library to see if you qualify. If you do, you could speak with me and receive an individualized consultation. All right, so again, today we're going to be talking about name change. So anyone who wants to change their name for really any reason other than fraud can petition the court in the county that they live in Superior Court of the county they live in, to change their name. It is a legal process, so you do have to file a petition. What are some reasons someone would want to change their name? It could be because maybe they got married, or perhaps they'd like to return to their maiden name after a divorce. It could be if people are combining their names to create a hyphenated name upon marriage. It could be for a transgender name change, or for religious reasons. And there are 4 basic eligibility requirements. So in order to change your name here in Georgia, you have to live in Georgia, and you have to file in the Superior Court of the county where you reside in. So it's not magistrate, it's not state, it is Superior Court of the county that you live in. And again, as I'd mentioned, the purpose cannot be to commit fraud. You have to change your name for some other valid reason. And you must publish notice of that change for 4 weeks in your local newspaper. Here in Cobb, it's the Marietta Daily Journal. Keep in mind, the rules are a little bit different if a parent is seeking name change of a minor. In that situation, there are some additional requirements. Both parents must consent to the name change unless the parent has abandoned that child. So examples of abandonment could include failure to support, visit, or communicate with that minor child for a minimum required time. Again, there are some additional requirements. When you do the name change for a minor, you do have to notify and get the consent of both parents. Oftentimes the petition does include an acknowledgement and consent. So if the petitioner is the mother of the child, she can give that acknowledgement and consent to the biological father to acknowledge and consent to the minor child's name change. So what does the process look like? Well, first you fill out the petition. You can get a copy of the petition online on Cobb Superior Court's website under Forms, or you can visit the law library, and there are printed versions already available for purchase, or you could print it online yourself at the law library. So you would complete all the required forms. Basically, you give your information, what your name is, what you're changing your name to, and the reason you're changing it to. Again, if it's a minor child's name change, you have the additional forms of acknowledgement and consent, or notice to, an approval by both parents. And so once you finish that petition, you then file it in the Superior Court of the county that you live in. After that, you also have to place a public notice. So when you file the petition, you will give your petition to the clerk's office here in the Superior Court, and you will pay a filing fee to have your name change published in the local newspaper. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Another important form to point out is the pauper's affidavit, which we'll talk about again, because when you do file, you do pay a fee to have it filed, but there are ways to have that fee waived, and we'll talk about that too. So kind of continuing about the process. So once you've filed and you've paid the fees and the notice has run in the newspaper for the required amount of time, you will have a hearing. And basically all the paperwork has to be complete at this point in order to have that full hearing. It is our advice to always arrive early, go to the assigned courtroom, and bring all your required forms and documents. During the full hearing, the judge will review your case and make a decision. If the judge approves your request, you will receive a copy of the final order. Now, sometimes people think, I have this final order, now I'm done, there's nothing else I have to do. Well, since you've changed your name, you have to then change your name on all other legal documents. So that could include a birth certificate, that can include your social security card, your passport, your driver's license, and you must go to each respective agency to change those items. So if you're changing your birth certificate, you would go to the Department of Vital Records in the county in which you were born. If you are trying to change your social security card to reflect your new name, you would go to the Social Security Administration. You should always keep a copy of the certified final order and just keep it for your records in case there ever are issues in the future. And again, update all your information. That order does not automatically ability to take those next steps to update all other documents. We talked a little bit about the publication process, and people often ask, why do I need to publish this? Why is there a 4-week waiting period in which we have to publish our name change in the newspaper? Well, the main reason is the courts want to make sure you're not committing fraud. You know, there's no one trying to steal someone's identity or something like that. And if there's no reason other than fraud, then no one can really object to your name change. So if there's evidence of fraud, then someone can object to that name change. But if there's no evidence of fraud, then there's really no reason to object to it. Sometimes people ask if there's a way to seal it, basically make it private or not known publicly that you're changing your name. There are circumstances in which you could do that. And that's if there's evidence of family violence. And so, you know, making this public, if you were to make it public, that somehow could harm you and there's evidence of family violence, then you could possibly ask the court to seal it. And by asking the court to seal it, it would also waive the publication requirement. But you should ask the judge at the time you file your case if that's something you could do. Evidence that would show family violence could be police reports or protective orders. Filing a name change petition is one of the methods of changing your name. Of course, there are other ways that people change their name that's outside of the petition process. One is marriage. So when you get married, you can automatically change your name, and that is sufficient. If you're getting a divorce, here in Cobb County, on the forms for divorce, it will ask if you would like for the petitioner to have their maiden name restored upon divorce, or if the respondent would like to have their maiden name restored upon divorce. It can also change when you are becoming a U.S. citizen. So when you become a U.S. citizen, you can change your name as well, and that you could request a name change through the naturalization process. And then also through adoption. So in Georgia, in addition to receiving a certified copy of the final adoption decree, the prospective adoptive parents can obtain a new birth certificate reflecting the adoptive parents as the child's parents and the child's new name. So petitioning for a name change is not the only way. It's just one of the ways, and there's a petition in the law library that you can actually get to fill out. What are some of the forms that you actually need? As I'd highlighted a couple of them, but we'll go over them now too. So you should always check with the clerk of the court of the county that you're filing in to make sure you have all the correct forms. But in general, you need the general civil case filing form. This simply initiates your case, opens your case. You would need the petition if you're changing it through the petition process. There's also a form in that petition called verification, and that verification form is signed before a notary, where you're essentially just stating that all the information in your petition is true and accurate. Then there's the notice of name change, which is to be filed with the clerk of the court and published in the newspaper. So we talked about filing fees. So I briefly mentioned a pauper's affidavit, also known as a poverty affidavit. So if you can't afford the filing fee for the name change, you can request the court to waive that filing fee so that you don't have to pay it. And you do that by completing this thing called a pauper's affidavit or a poverty affidavit. This is also available online under Superior Court's website under Forms. You can also get a copy of it at the law library. Importantly, you have to have the poverty affidavit completed and approved before you file the name change petition. If you file your name change petition and then later seek to get the poverty affidavit approved, you will not be reimbursed the fees that you paid. So my advice to everyone always is make sure you have the poverty affidavit filled out, and make sure you have your name change petition filled out at the same time, so that when you get your poverty affidavit approved, you file your petition that same exact day. Do not do the filing of the name change petition before that. The poverty affidavit does have to be notarized, and you can get that notarized at the Cobb County's Superior Court's Law Library. And again, it has to be approved before you file it. So again, it costs about $200 to $250 to file with the court, and then it costs approximately $80 for the newspaper fee for publication, and certified copies can cost anywhere from $250 to $5. So that is the general process for name change. I hope that you found this presentation helpful. If you have any questions, you can always call COB Legal Aid, and the information is available on this slide. Again, for non-urgent issues, you can always contact us and open up an application on our website. If you would like to get a consultation, a one-time consultation, you can come visit me in the law library. I am present there from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, and I hope that this presentation was helpful.